AF. Go live AF. Oh, Ironsworn, Ironsworn, not Iron Sword. Okay. I feel like I'm way behind on videos on the channel. I've been doing some shorts recently, which I've appreciated. Got some nice discussions back and forth. But there's a bundle of holding that just launched, I guess, yesterday for Ironsworn, and a lot of people had mentioned Ironsworn to me for different reasons. A lot of it for people seem to be really, really, really digging it for solo play. Not that people don't really, really dig it for playing with groups, but solo play seems to be a big driver of interest or community that I've seen. Just in terms, I'm making this more complicated sounds. When people have reached out to me or mentioned Ironsworn, it is a lot of it has come with this kind of solo play. Though it also came up in a Discord we were looking at. I mentioned this in the past, talking about playing the One Ring, and I played the one shot, and it was fun. I liked it a lot, but some people weren't that into the system. And I think Ironsworn was one of the alternates that came up. People wanted to play in the Lord of the Rings setting, but didn't want to use the One Ring. What system might work in a pinch? And Ironsworn came up. So those are kind of the two, I guess, angles for which Ironsworn has kind of hit my radar. The Humble Bundles, Humble Bundle. It's not a Humble Bundle. The Bundle of Holding. I think it's $15, and you get, I guess, all the books. I asked somebody who knows much more of it than I do which one I should start with, because there's Ironsworn, and there's also, I think, Starforged. And Starforged, they said, adds a lot of systems. I also heard that Starforged kind of, I don't know if cleans it up, fixes it up, patches some holes, maybe has some improvements that Ironsworn doesn't have, that maybe will get backported to Ironsworn at some point. But we'll go with Ironsworn as is. I think for this, I'm gonna kind of lean into the solo play stuff where it is. I have not cracked this open as kind of with my usual, though it feels like it's been a long time since I've done one, which is sad and odd, but I'll get back on track. I'm gonna concentrate on the stuff I see as kind of the solo play element. We might have to give the basic rules some look anyway, because obviously I need to know at least some idea how things work. I got my crappy broken old man glasses. Got Ironsworn up in the PDF, and let's just go into the basics, and we'll see where we go. Okay, Ironsworn. Okay, I'm gonna skip over. Oh, actually, no, this I want to see. All right, so we got 3 modes of play. Guided, which is kind of, I think guided is your normal mode, right? You got a GM and some players. Co-op, playing together, no GM, and then solo, also no GM. And then we have some box text that says an Ironsworn is primarily intended for solo and small group play. 1 to 4 players plus a GM, and guided mode is ideal. Characters portrayed by other players are referred to in these rules as your allies. Okay. Let's see. I don't need to know what you need unless there's something funky. Nope, that's it. 2 10-sided dice, 1 6-sided die. Okay, so 10-sided dice are the challenge dice. 6-sided die is your action die. And you might have another pair of 10-sided dice. That's an oracle. And you have a character sheet. Great. Okay, let's see. Mechanics in the fiction. Ironsworn uses various mechanics. As a player, you often make decisions based on a desired mechanical outcome. The basic mechanics, fine. Ironsworn is also... I can keep iron. It's for some reason. Why is this word bothering my mouth? Ironsworn is also heavily reliant on the fiction, bolded, which is the imagined character's situation. Blah blah blah. Okay, fine. You'll play from the perspective of your character. All right, that's good. Okay, so Ironlands is a default setting. 2 generations ago, your people were driven to the Ironlands from their former homes in the old world. Capital O, capital W. The weather here is harsh. Winters are brutal. The rugged terrain makes travel and trade difficult and dangerous. Sounds good. There are no thriving cities. Ironlanders live in isolated villages or steadings. Many areas are unexplored. Not much use for coins. Bartering and favors is more common. Some communities are still isolated and dependent, diverse mix of people and cultures. Communities sometimes band together under powerful leaders, but there's no kingdoms. Large-scale warfare is unheard of, but raiding parties and skirmishes between communities are a constant menace. Spear, axe, shield, and bow are the dominant weapons. Magic is subtle and mysterious. Supernatural creatures and beasts are rare, frightening, and dangerous. All right. You're encouraged to make Ironsworn your own and to bend the setting to your liking. Your version of the Ironlands will be unique because you'll define aspects such as the history of your people, magic, mythic beasts, and more. That'll be fun. You can also ignore the Ironlands entirely and play in your own world. Great. With a bit of work, you can even adapt these rules to different genres. Also great. All right. Hey, Croco. Iron vows. In the Ironlands, a vow is sacred. When you declare your solemn promise to serve or aid someone or to complete a personal quest, your honor is bound to that vow. Abandoning or recanting an oath is the worst sort of failure. When you swear a vow, you touch a piece of iron. I think hence we're getting Ironsworn. It can be an iron coin, a weapon, or your armor. It's an old tradition. Some say the iron, a piece of the primal world, serves as a conduit to the old gods, so they may better hear your promise. Vows are the core of playing Ironsworn. It is your vows that drive you. These goals create the context for your adventures and challenges. As you complete vows, you gain experience and new abilities. When you create your character, you start with a background vow. When you set up your campaign, you envision your encounter you envision or encounter an inciting incident which triggers a new vow. There are several prompts for vows associated with the details of the world, later on, and with foes and encounters in chapter. I'm gonna skip chapters and page number references. You could select something which fits your vision for the world and your character goals, or just come up with something yourself. If you are playing in a co-op mode, you and your fellow players may have shared vows and personal vows. Okay, so we'll get to those vows later. Okay, we need your character sheet. So we have assets, which are abilities that you choose. That's fine. However, your character is more than mechanical. Okay, great. All right, that's fine. Let's see. And I like these. I get a little, not really worried about our character sheet now, but you've got kind of a track or two tracks on the side. One is for momentum, and one is, I guess, split into several for health, spirit, and supply. And we have moves. I guess borrowing the term, from Powered by the Apocalypse. That was the first game to use moves as a thing. And here's some Agua Fresca Jamaica for the working man. Croco says, moves are the driving force of the system, if they remember correctly. Okay. All right, we have adventure moves. Cover a variety of dangers. Investigations, traveling, making camp, and healing. Relationship moves. That's kind of persuading others to do something, building bonds, etc. Combat moves for fighting, but not exclusively. Suffer moves for when you endure hardship. Quest moves, those encompass vows. And fate moves. All right, for solo and co-op play, or to support GM decisions and brainstorming guide. Great. So I will probably, we'll probably have to take a look at least a little bit on all of them. Most moves are based on risky actions you are taking. You are attacking with your sword, making a dangerous climb, or healing an ally. These moves use dice to determine the outcome. This is called an action roll. Some moves measure your headway against an extended challenge, such as a journey or fight, using a progress track. When you're ready to resolve the challenge, you make a progress roll. Other moves utilize a different kind of dice roll called an oracle roll. These moves help determine the outcome of uncertain events out of your character's control. If you're playing solo or co-op, you can use the Ask the Oracle move to answer questions about the world, resolve how characters respond, or to determine what happens next. And then some moves don't require a roll, okay? So the action roll, challenge dice, action die. Add your relevant stat to your action die. The move will tell you which stat to add or may give you a choice. Some moves will tell you to use one of your tracks, such as health or supply, in place of a stat. Based on the move or your character's assets, you may also have an opportunity to apply one or more bonuses called adds. The total of your action die, your add, and any adds, the total of your action die, your stat, and any adds is your action score. Your action score is never greater than 10. Anything over that is ignored. So in this case, you might have an action die 3, and you add 2, you add 1 for those adds, you end up with 6. To determine the outcome of your move, let's see, compare the action score to each of the challenge dice. You want it to be greater than the individual value of those dice. I see. So if you have an action score of 6 and challenge dice are 4 and an 8, you got the first one, you didn't get the second one. You're greater than 4, but you're less than 8. Okay. And depending on what happens, I see. If you're greater than both of them, you have a strong hit. If you're greater than one of them, you have a weak hit. If you don't surpass either of them, you have you fail or a miss. And then the moves will tell you how to interpret the outcomes. Okay, that's clever. Ties always go to the challenge dice. Oh, and you have to exceed, not equal. All right. When you roll for a move, you should be on the lookout for a match on the challenge dice. In cooperative and solo play, this is your trigger to add a twist, create a new complication, or otherwise mix things up. Something interesting, unexpected, or unusual happens. If you're unsure, you ask the Oracle, which is a move you use to ask questions or check for inspiration. If you're playing with a GM, a match on the challenge dice can be their prompt to introduce a surprising turn of events. The outcome of a match should be evaluated based on the result of your move. A strong hit, the match should represent a twist in the narrative, something interesting or a new opportunity. A miss, the match should represent a heightened negative outcome, a complication, or new danger. Things get worse for you in an unexpected way. Okay. And then momentum. Momentum is a special mechanic, which is central. Your momentum value ranges from -6 to +10 and represents how you are faring in your quest. Move results may tell you to increase or decrease momentum. The momentum track is on the left side of your character sheet. You can use a paperclip or token to mark the current value. When you have positive momentum, things are going your way, you have advantage. You have the advantage, you are in control. Your path is clear, you are properly positioned for success. When you have negative momentum, the tide has turned against you, you face tough odds, you are outmatched. Your next steps are uncertain. Momentum persists through scenes and between gaming sessions. When you finish a session, write down your current momentum value, then pick up where you left off when you return to the game. You gain momentum as an outcome or option when making moves. This represents securing advantages, acquiring new insight, and making progress in your quest. If a move tells you to add momentum, increase your momentum track by the value indicated. In general, taking +1 momentum represents a minor advantage. Taking +2 momentum or more represents a major advantage. And then you can also lose momentum as a choice of making moves or as an outcome of a move, particularly on a weak hit or miss. If a move tells you to suffer a specific loss of momentum, phrased as suffer -X momentum, you reduce your momentum track by the value indicated. The options you choose in a move or the assets you leverage may alter this penalty. If you lose momentum as a result of a narrative outcome without a defined value, such as when you make the pay the price move, you should suffer a reduction appropriate to the narrative circumstances. If it's minor, you suffer -1. If it's major, suffer -2. Some moves and assets give you the option to suffer a loss of momentum in exchange for temporary advantages. If you take this option, right, just adjust things. Okay, and you can also burn momentum. All right, I'm really not super, not that I'm not interested, but that's not, my main focus isn't quite on the real finer points of the system. But I think I've getting the basics down. Hey, Ian. Croco says, not sure the Ironsworn system is for me, from what I've seen, but maybe I need to test it out properly. I mean, testing always helps. I'm curious, which they don't really say here, is do you roll these challenge dice or is it going to set the challenges? I'm curious how those challenge dice are set. It would be kind of interesting if they rolled them. That would be kind of neat. Though it would be a really roller coaster type experience, depending on how that works. I'm not sure. Because I'm curious, so you can get these matches. Is that because you rolled them and you just randomly get a match, or is that because they go up and down slightly? I'm not sure how that works. I'm kind of interested in that, but not super much. All right, so you can burn momentum. We gain it, reset it. Let's see. When your momentum is less than 0 and it matches the value of your action die, you must cancel your action die. Okay, so if you're at -4 and you have you have 4 in your action die, you have to cancel the die. Your momentum cannot drop lower than -6. If a move tells you to lower your momentum is already at its minimum. Jeez. You will instead make the face a setback move. All right. And I wonder, is that action die? Is that a level-based thing? Or for your whole level, it's at one number? Or are you rolling it? Because it's interesting, because other than the fact that if you get to 6, you have to do that to face a setback move, which probably isn't good. If it's just, if the face is, if it's face meets face, not kind of less than or equal to or something like that, then your chances of you canceling your action die, and I'm guessing that's pretty severe. You only have a 1 in 6 chance, which isn't too bad. Max momentum starts at +10 and reduced for 1 for every marked debility. Okay. And you have progress tracks when you swear an iron vow, when you undertake a journey, when you enter the fray, when you forge a bond. Progress tracks are drawn as a row of 10 boxes, which you then fill in or mark as you make headway towards a goal. When you initiate a challenge, the boxes are empty. Okay, so I see. So I guess you might have multiples. I don't know if you can. Yeah, I imagine you can have multiples, right? Because you can swear an iron vow, which gives you a track. Undertake a journey also gives you a track. Entering the fray seems like it also gives you a track. And then forging a bond gives you a track. So you could probably have multiples of those at once. I'm guessing if I'm understanding that correctly. This is making progress on your quest may stretch over many sessions. Your character sheet includes progress tracks for vows. Your character sheet also includes a progress track for your bonds. For journeys and fights, you could sketch out your progress tracks on whatever is convenient or use the challenge worksheet provided at the website. Okay. But you might have more than one vow. More than one bond, right? I don't know. When you engage in a fight, okay, so this is called challenge ranks. When you engage in a fight, initiate a journey, or swear a vow, you give your challenge a rank. In increasing order of difficulty, the ranks are troublesome, dangerous, formidable, extreme, and epic. You or the GM will choose a rank appropriate to the situation and how quickly or easily it should be resolved. Troublesome is used for simple challenges. A typical challenge is dangerous or formidable. Epic and extreme challenges require great effort and luck to overcome. Okay. And then marking progress. So we do that. So you undertake a journey. So you have, so when you travel across hazardous or unfamiliar lands, first determine the rank of your journey. Ask the Oracle if unsure. So troublesome, you have to make 3 progress per waypoint. I guess must be waypoints may not be good. So thinking, that's why are you getting less waypoints or more waypoint? Yeah, less. But anyway, so troublesome journey, 3 progress per waypoint. Dangerous journey, 2 progress per waypoint. Formidable, 1 progress per waypoint. And then extreme journey, 2 ticks per waypoint, and epic, 1 tick. Okay, I don't know the difference between a progress and a tick. It doesn't say yet. Okay, then, all right. So, okay, I get it now. Sorry, I missed something. So when you're marking progress, you mark progress when you successfully reach waypoints. Okay. So for each segment of your journey, you're going to roll and you're going to add, I guess, wits, which must be an attribute. If you're setting off from a community with which you share a bond, you can add 1. On a strong hit, you reach a waypoint. If the waypoint is unknown to you, envision it, then choose 1. Okay. You make good use of your resources. You can mark progress. You move at speed, mark progress, and take +1 momentum, but suffer -1 supply. On a weak hit, you reach a waypoint and mark progress, but suffer -1 supply. On a miss, you're waylaid by a perilous event. You must pay the price. Croco asks if there's any guidance for how often or when to roll for a challenge. Not yet. Not yet. Okay, so here, So here are all these marks here, kind of these ticks. So 1 tick, 2 ticks. So, okay. All right, so you kind of make an asterisk inside these boxes. And let's see, how many tick lines is it? It's 4. So it's 6 ticks. Am I reading that correctly? Right? You got 1. Oh no, it's 4, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, sorry. 4 ticks make up a progress. So if you're on an epic quest, you're going to be doing a lot, right? You're going to have to do a bunch of those to get 1. If it's extreme, you're going to have to make 4 ticks to make a progress in epic. Extreme, you have to do it twice, and formidable, everything else is kind of progress. Is multiple progresses. Okay. I kind of get in that thing where I just really like if you could explain to me what something is before you start mentioning it. So I would have liked, because I imagine that works for all of them, just give me the tick it takes 4 ticks to fill a box or make a progress. Something like that would have made it a little bit more clear. But we got it. Okay. Let's see. So strike a class. All right. So basically everything is going to be moved using these boxes, which is, so you got kind of, I think that seems to be the universal mechanic. If you're marking progress for a bond, you always mark 1 tick unless the move tells you otherwise. I think the interesting thing too, not that it's not good or bad, but you could have just had more boxes and then had 1, 2, 3, 4, what that number. So instead of having 10 boxes and doing all this asterisks inside, either just use X marks and like have 20 boxes and just have some of them are X's or not. You know what I mean? It's interesting. I'm just curious from just a simplicity standpoint why it went quite like that, but it's fine. It's fine. All right, progress moves. There are 4 moves called progress moves, which utilize progress tracks. All right, to resolve a quest, to fulfill your vow, to end your journey, reach your destination, to decide the outcome of a combat, end the fight, and you retire, you write your epilogue. Okay. So progress moves, progress rolls. You don't make an action roll when you make a progress move. Instead, you take the number of fully filled progress boxes. This is your progress score. Then roll your challenge dice. You roll the challenge dice and compare to your progress score to the value of the dice. As with an action roll, if your progress score is greater than both challenge dice, it is a strong hit. If you beat one, it's a weak hit. If you fail to beat either, it's a miss. The progress move will tell you how to resolve the challenge based on the outcome. Okay, so I see. So that's kind of neat. So now I see why there's 10. I got you. See how things become clear? You go on, I got you. Because we're doing 10 boxes and we got 2 dice that are both 10s, then they want to compare this in your progress score to the number. All right, so now that makes sense. And now this seems like, at least in this one, you're going to roll the challenge dice. When deciding whether to make your progress move, you need to weigh your chances of success against the risk of continuing. Okay, so you can... okay, so this is kind of neat too. So you're on your progress of whatever it is, and you might decide, hey, you know what? I don't know. We're low on resources, or oh my gosh, I need to do this now. Time's clicking, whatever. So maybe I don't have as much progress as I'd like, but I'm going to hope and pray that I get 2 and 3 on my challenge dice score, and therefore, having only made 4 progress, I can make the roll. Right, and this one that's partially filled does not count, right? So they're showing a progress of 6. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, only the fully filled ones count. So you could try to do that, right? But you have to imagine, I haven't checked any dice, but there's a little bit of a... the challenge dice, really what's happening is you're kind of always rolling for advantage, in a sense, if you want to fully succeed. So if you think about it, if your odds on a single D10 are 5.5, that would be, and a D10, that would be, that's your average roll. So you can maybe round it up to 6, which means that probably for advantage, your average being the higher die is probably going to be something like 7.5. I don't know that I am totally just throwing that out of my butt. I don't know, but it's got to be higher than 5.5 and lower than 10. So maybe 7.5 is a good number. Over under 7.5. So if you're rocking less than, and you have to beat it by 1, you can't tie. So if you really want to try, probably get 9. If you want to have the best chance of, if you're not filling it out completely, right? And even then, I guess you could still. They didn't say whether zeros are 10s or zeros are zeros. So I don't know. Maybe they're being kind and zeros are zeros, so that if you get 10, you automatically will succeed. Whoops. So some interesting kind of dice magique going on. Okay, we could share progress with allies. Great. Harm represents physical damage and fatigue. You inflict harm on your foes, and you endure harm when you are attacked, or you get harm. Okay. And then we have some troubles. They have the same kind of rating system. So we have troublesome, dangerous, formidable, extreme, and epic. Let's see. When you're faced physical injury or hardship, make an enduring enduring harm move. As part of that move, you may reduce your health track by the amount of harm suffered. When you're fighting a foe, they inflict harm based on their rank. If you're at 0 health, a miss on the endure harm move puts you at risk of suffering a debility or dying. You can recover health through rest and recuperation using moves such as heal, make camp, and sojourn. And then we have stress, which is the mental side of it. So we have basically harm and stress. That's fine. Assets, key components of your character. They give you additional options and bonuses. You can mix and match assets however you like. There are no designated assets based on character class or roles. However, you should avoid picking the same asset as another player. So we have an example here, which is called a path, and this one's called Slayer. When you gather information by tracking a beast or horror, when you secure an advantage by readying yourself for a fight against them, you can add +1 and take +1 momentum on a hit. Or add +1, I think. And if you hit, you get +1 momentum. When you swear an iron vow to slay a beast or horror, you may re-roll any dice. When you fulfill your vow and mark experience, you take +1 experience. When you slay a beast or horror that is at least formidable, you may take a trophy and choose one. Let's see. One option is power a ritual. When you or an ally make a ritual move, re-roll any dice 1 time only, or prove your worth. When you sojourn, re-roll any dice 1 time only. I'm guessing it kind of consumes the trophy. Maybe that's what that means. I don't know. Okay, so let's see. So we have an asset type. It's called a path. And you can now see the kinds of asset types we have. We have companions, paths, combat talents, and rituals. So this one we just read was a path. Most assets include a default ability represented by the filled in circle. So that's the one that gather info. Assets usually modify moves by giving you a bonus or allowing you to use the move in a different way. And then also as you get experience, you can purchase upgrades for your assets. When you purchase an upgrade, you fill in the circle to show that you now have that ability. So I guess you have to pay that one. It doesn't say what the purchase is, how much you have to pay, but I guess we'll find out. Oracles. Some moves may prompt you to roll on a table to generate a result between 1 and 100. There are also a set of creative prompts in the later chapter which you can use to reveal details, trigger events, and guide the actions of other characters in your world. These oracles help answer questions in solo or co-op games or provide inspiration for the GM. So we have oracle dice. When you roll them, 10s and 1s. It's a D100 or, 2D10s, percentile. I think we get it. Seeking answers. If you're playing solo or co-op, you can ask the Oracle to help guide your game session and trigger ideas when you need to know what happens next. Its most basic function is to answer a yes or no question. Combined with your own instincts and creativity, this move and other random prompts can push your story in surprising and exciting directions. All right, so I guess there's more about that on 107. So I'll wait and see it on 107. If you're playing with a GM, obviously they are the Oracle. Let's see, we got some more randomness. Trust your instincts, great. All right, I'm going to kind of breeze over bonds. Not that they're not good, and equipment. Here we have a flow chart. Start, envision the current situation, ask and answer questions. You trigger a move, make the move, and then figure out what kind of hit you have or a miss, and then follow on to whatever's next. Croco loves him some oracles. All right. I do like oracles too, and I'm curious how they handle it. Okay, so I'm gonna skip to Bill. Well, let's see. I'm not gonna worry too much about the character. We have stats. Their stats are edge, heart, iron, shadow, and wits. So edge is your quickness, agility, and ranged combat. Heart is courage, willpower, empathy, sociability, and loyalty. Iron, physical strength, endurance, aggressiveness, and prowess in close combat. Shadow is sneakiness, deceptiveness, and cunning. And wits is expertise, knowledge, and observation. You then have health, spirit, and supply. Your momentum, vows, bonds, debilities. I think we got that a little bit, but those are your hardships and setbacks. You can have conditions. You can also have banes and burdens. And then assets. Your asset types, you have companions. We have an example here, a hawk. Your hawk can aid you when it is aloft. It's far-seeing when you undertake a journey or when you resupply. By hunting for small game, you can add 1. It's fierce when you secure an advantage. Plus edge, using your hawk to harass and distract your foes. You can add 1 and take a momentum on hit, and it's vigilant when you face danger. Plus wits to detect an approaching threat, or when you enter the fray. Plus wits against an ambush, you can add +2. Frederick says, I need delves and denizens to hack it to more D&D-ish. I don't know. I mean, not for me. I don't need it to be more D&D-ish. I'm not sure. I mean, it is definitely written for very much kind of a, from the perspective of playing solo or co-op, it seems to me. I mean, yeah, they're using a lot of moves and things, kind of powered by the apocalypse isms, but they're not really, they definitely have a different way of going about it. But I'm fine. I mean, I have D&D. The thing is, if I want to run just D&D, I'll just run D&D. I mean, I'll run BX. I don't really need to hack things to be more D&D-ish because I've got regular D&D. All right. So you can acquire assets, you can upgrade assets. Ability requirements, okay. Companion abilities. Failing, and I'm kind of, like I said, I'm kind of scooting along some of this. When you fulfill your vow, you gain experience. The amount of experience is based on the rank of the quest and ranges from 1 to 5 points. Mark an X on your character sheet for each point you've earned. When you advance, you spend experience to purchase assets or upgrade an asset. Replace the X for each point spent with a filled-in slot. Okay, I guess when you fill all your slots in, you're done. That's kind of a nice little clean. I'm not sure what the. How do we know when we've? How do we know when you've actually gone up? Oh, I see. You can add a new asset by spending 3. You can upgrade an asset by spending 2. Okay. Okay, and then we have equipment. Now we get on to moves. Do we really need moves? So best practices for moves, I think it's going to read is pretty familiar between something like Powered by the Apocalypse and other things. Fiction first and move. Not everything is a move. Make moves matter. And we have some other stuff. That's fine. Initiative is a special mechanic of combat. It reflects who is in control. When you have initiative, you make proactive moves and have more options. When your foe has initiative against you, they are forcing you to react. Initiative shifts between you and your foes depending on the result of your move. Some moves are inherently proactive or offensive. It can only be made when you have initiative. Others are reactive or defensive and are made when your foe has initiative. All right, that's fine. And we got an example that I'm not going to read. Okay. Now we got some stuff on moves. All right. So, face danger sounds a lot like, what is the Powered by the Apocalypse from like Dungeon World move? Defy danger. Probably going to see some more of these. Frederick says this system shines with 2 players. Frederick, do you mean 1 GM and 1 player or 2 players and 1 GM? And Kroko says it's in the middle between soloing, just using a traditional system, and soloing via journaling game, in their opinion. Yeah, I mean, I haven't played any journaling games, but, I think it's definitely hitting this crossroads just mechanically. It's going to be interesting how this and, say, Daggerheart, right? I think the thing that's interesting is Daggerheart, they have different vibes to them for sure. But mechanically, some things in common. And Daggerheart's got 2d12. This is 2d10. Now, Daggerheart doesn't have the hit above and below the numbers, but it's got that, hope, and it's using them in a similar way. They're not similar, right? So in this one, you have the 2 dice, and depending on how far, if you surpass both dice or 1 die, you kind of get some mixed things there. Daggerheart has the with hope or with fear, but it kind of fulfills a similar function. I think the vibes they're going for are very different, but pretty interesting nonetheless. Okay, so Frederick says 2 players and they share GMs and you trade off. I did that in high school. Me and a friend, we did that, our mashup of Twilight 2000 plus the TSR Marvel Superheroes game. That was, it was just the 2 of us, and we would take turns GMing, and whoever was GMing, their character kind of became the sidekick to the other PC. No special system required. Not that having a good system like that is a bad thing, but yeah, we just did it. Okay, so we got, like I said, I'm going to kind of breeze through these. So face danger, secure an advantage, gather info, heal, resupply, make camp, undertake a journey, reach your destination. Compel. These are, now we're into, that was, so wait, what those were what moves? Oh, adventure moves. Okay, now the relationship moves: compel, sojourn, draw the circle, like a duel, forge a bond, test your bond, aid your ally, write your epilogue, and then combat moves: enter the fray, strike, clash, turn the tide, end the fight. Okay, so this is kind of, this is a neat thing, I think. So instead of reducing down to 0, you're doing that. You're making the same kind of progress. And I guess there's always these progress boxes, right? So this is when you decide to make that decisive action. You have so many in your progress, and you're going to try to end it, which is interesting because you could be desperate and try to end it when you're pretty sure you're not going to make it, but you just got to try, or when you've got things in hand. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Battle. We can get some other moves that happen inside combat. One thing, I don't know if I dig the photographs art style. It's definitely different. I'm assuming these are photographs. It's definitely different than the drawings, but I'm just, I don't know. No shame to it. It's a really neat choice, and obviously effort had to go in because I'm presuming these are not stock that that they actually went out and did this, which is really cool. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd just like something a little more stylized. I don't know. Okay, it's not important though. I'm not an art. I'm certainly not an art overall guy. Okay, so that's just other things. We have suffer moves, endure harm, face death, and your companion endures harm, endure stress, face desolation. You're out of supply. You face a setback, and then quest moves. You swear a vow. This is one I'm interesting on. So when you swear upon an iron to complete a quest, write your vow and give the quest a rank. Then roll, I guess, plus heart. I guess that's you roll heart. If you make this vow to a person or community with whom you share a bond, add 1. Okay. On a strong hit, you are emboldened, and it's clear what you must do next. Ask the oracle if you're unsure. Okay, so that's kind of funny to me. It is clear what you must do next. If you're not sure, ask the oracle. I thought it was clear. Be quiet. All right, so you get 2 momentum. On a weak hit, you're determined, but you got more questions than answers. So this one, it says doesn't give the parenthetical to ask the oracle. You get a +1 momentum, and you try to think about what you can do to make a pass forward. On a miss, there's some kind of obstacle on the road. I mean, this is the interesting thing here is just it's a I don't know if it's a style thing, right? Whereas in your kind of D&D adventure, let's say, go across to or I guess that's a journey, so maybe I'll do it differently. Defeat the giant, right? You wouldn't roll in advance to say if there's an obstacle there. You would kind of do stuff, and then when stuff happens, that would become your obstacle now. So this is kind of interesting that it's I guess maybe an obstacle is not even the right word. It seems just like either you're starting ahead or behind. Like things are just going to be, it's just going to be harder. But you're going to have to, and this is why they say envision, right? So the idea here is that if I'm reading this correctly, because obviously I've not played this and I've not read this before, that if you were to swear an iron vow, I'm going to defeat the giant. Okay. If you do this now, then you roll this die, and then you go, okay, I got a strong hit. So great. I know exactly what to do. And if I don't, so it's like, if your character knows exactly what to do, you as a player, maybe like, I'm totally in the dark. And that's what the oracle part is for. A player, you go ask the oracle, but your character, whatever you figure out with the oracle, as a player, your character knows that. That's kind of like, this is the stuff that I know. Like, okay, I know the giant's up on the hill. I know he's got that steading, whatever. Okay, great. Got it. And maybe we know some about the other things that are there. Okay, good. Golden. And I get +2 momentum. So I'm like, because this info, mechanically, I've got this bonus to it. And I don't even know if maybe that's all it is, really, is that this +2 momentum. And then really what you're doing is imagining, I guess it seems to me maybe that's it. So that on that strong hit, you get that +2 momentum, and then you're kind of envisioning what they know about the situation that gives them that extra momentum. It's not really that you know what's up there. I don't know how adventures work yet, so I don't know how we're randomly determining stuff. Well, there's a giant on a hill, but you kind of know stuff about it, so you have +2 momentum. So your +2 momentum is what mechanically tells you that, hey, I know exactly what to do, even if you don't. On a weak hit, you have slightly more momentum. At least you're determined. I am determined, and you're envisioning, deciding what does that mean. There's a road and it happens to lead up there because there used to be an old guy that lived up there, so there's a path that still leads up there. You can go there and fine. And then on miss, there's something making it more difficult, and you figure out what that is. But I guess where I'm not sure yet is if it is just momentum with a fictional gloss. Like mechanically, you've now lost momentum, and we're going to say this is the reason why. Does that reason why actually affect what you're going to see at the, okay, so we're talking this example, a giant on a hill. Okay, a hill giant, if you will. let's say on a strong hit, would that mean that maybe the hill giant is old, becoming sloppy, lazy? I don't know, clumsy. Now I got that momentum, but does that also say something about what I actually find up there when I go doing it, or it's just an excuse for the momentum? And on the same token, if I missed, the hill giant has a troll servant. Is that really there, or is it just you know what I mean? Like, how does this work in terms of what's actually up on the hill? Since I haven't gone yet, I've just only sworn the vow, or is it really just about the momentum? I don't know yet. I guess we'll find out. Maybe. Okay. I'm going to read a little bit more about this because I think that this swearing of iron vows is kind of a big deal in the game. When you encounter a wrong that must be made right, seek to fulfill a personal ambition or give your word to serve someone, you make this move. Fictionally, an iron vow is ceremonial. You touch a piece of iron and speak the vow. Don't just make the move. Envision how your character enacts the ceremony. What do you do? What do you say? Is this a moment of grudging acceptance or one of fiery determination? Set the rank of your quest based on what you know of the challenges you will face. Or ask the Oracle. I think asking the Oracle is going to be pretty important, I think, for a lot of this stuff. Higher ranked quests require more effort, both in your narrative and through session time and focus, but offer greater experience rewards. An epic quest could be the endeavor of a lifetime, while a troublesome quest might be resolved in a few scenes. It is not necessary to resolve one vow before swearing another. In fact, the intent of these rules is for your character to run afoul of new situations and get sidetracked with new vows, even while attempting to complete a separate quest. This is the life of the Ironsworn. All right, so that's cool. So they're not letting they mean you to end up in multiple vows, though hopefully they don't crisscross. Based on the results of this move, your path may be clear, a strong hit, or more investigation may be required to identify your next steps. Okay, a weak hit. So that wasn't really made clear when it says envision. I mean, it says envision what you do to find a path forward, but I thought that was kind of just a gloss of just like, okay, I got -1 moment, or I only got +1 momentum instead of 2. So it took me an extra day, or I don't know. But this one sounds like maybe you actually have to take actions, but I'm not sure. Okay, so now on a miss, you face a serious obstacle at the very start, which prevents you from undertaking the quest. Okay, so this is different. So it's not about something happening over on the hill. It's happening right here, right now. It might be a sudden event, someone working against you or refusing your aid, or a personal conviction which must be overcome. When in doubt about what happens, ask the Oracle. It should be significant and not easily dealt with. Also, when you resolve this obstacle, you won't reach a milestone for your quest. You aren't actually able to make progress on the vow until you overcome this initial challenge. I see. Okay. This makes a bit more sense. So if you get the strong hit, you can go right away. If more investigation is required to identify your next steps, it doesn't sound like, I don't know, I'm still not sure if I'm actually supposed to do something with that or not. This makes it sound like you are, but the other part made it sound like, don't worry about it, you just don't have as much momentum. But maybe I would say, okay, you're going to have to do something. But maybe that's not a move, so maybe it is just a talking about it. Because I imagine that the investigation you're doing, because you haven't actually left on your quest yet, so it doesn't have to do with the thing. It's just about getting on the road to the thing. Would just be, you could just talk about it. Maybe you lose time if time is of the essence. I don't know. You also have the option on a miss to come to the realization that your vow was made impulsively or without support, and you may simply give up. If you do, forsake your vow. Oh, you don't want to forsake your vow. When your allies join together to swear an iron vow, one of you speaks for the group and makes the move. The others can commit to the cause with the aid your ally move. If you score a hit and take some momentum, or score a miss and choose to suffer momentum, only the character making the move adjusts their momentum track. Once your quest is underway, you share a progress track and mark progress together. Okay. All right. So now you reach milestones and you make significant progress on your quest by overcoming a critical obstacle, completing a perilous journey, solving a complex mystery, defeating a powerful threat, gaining vital support, or acquiring a crucial item, you get to mark progress. And again, it's depending. If it's troublesome quest, you mark 3, dangerous 2, formidable 1, extreme, epic, we got it. You will face obstacles as you strive to complete quests. Some of these obstacles arise naturally out of the fiction of the situation. Overcoming one challenge leads naturally to the next. Others represent narrative twists introduced when you interpret the result of a move or when you ask the Oracle for inspiration. When you overcome one of these obstacles and it was a notable challenge, make this move and mark progress on your quest. Not every step on this path is worthy of a milestone. Did it put you in great danger? Did it cost you something significant? Did you unravel a complex web of clues and motivations? Was it dramatic and narratively interesting? Most importantly, was it directly related to your quest and not a random or unconnected event? How you define milestones determines the pace of your game. You need to overcome challenges to reach a milestone and mark progress. You can't, with confidence, fulfill your vow unless you've marked progress. You don't gain experience unless you fulfill your vow. You can't add new assets to your character unless you gain experience. That's the broad flow of how quests drive gameplay and character improvement, the tempo of which is determined by you and others at your table. If you come up against relatively simple obstacles and call them milestones, you'll mark progress and move quickly towards completing the quest. But if you do, you'll miss out on storytelling opportunities and the satisfaction earned when you prevail against a worthy challenge. Not sure if something is worthy as a milestone? If you're playing co-op or guided, talk it out at the table. If you're playing solo, trust your instincts and the type of play experience you want to create. In the end, it's your game. All right, so I mean, that's this guy. I almost feel like this should be even, and maybe it is because I've been breezing by some stuff kind of upfront because that's kind of the whole game loop, right? Is you're gonna you take these vows to fulfill quests, you make progress along quests, and then as you're fulfilling them, you get experience, which you get to, and that's kind of your thing. And you're doing it over and over again, and there's going to be a lot of overlap because you may take one vow to do something, and then when you're on the road to doing that, then you take another vow, and you get all these different overlapping vows as you're doing stuff. But that's the game. So the easier you make your vows, then the less, the easier the game is going to be. So, you get to really modulate. Up to you, right? It's that kind of what do they call it? High trust. I'm not going to tell you it is or it isn't. You decide. Kind of thing. All right, let's move along. Okay, let's see. I do want to. Here's something that forsake your vow. When you renounce your quest, betray your promise, or the goal is lost to you. Clear the vow and endure stress. You suffer minus spirit equal to the rank of your quest. So that's a big deal, but I guess you might have to do it at some point. When you achieve what you believe to be the fulfillment of your vow, roll the challenge dice to compare your progress. Momentum is ignored on this roll. On a strong hit, your quest is complete. On a weak hit, there's more to be done, or you realize the truth of your quest. On a miss, your quest is undone. Envision what happens. And choose one. Either you recommit, you clear all but one filled progress, and raise the quest rank by 1 if it's not already epic, or you forsake your vow. Ooh, that one's tough. One thing I'm not sure I love is, man, there's a lot of, it's going to be a style thing, right? Those 2 challenge dice, I mean, that's just kind of tough. I mean, obviously, the thing is you want to be sure, fill up the whole thing. And again, I have to assume, though, I don't remember seeing anywhere that zeros are zeros and not 10s, so that if you hit 10, you automatically fulfill. So I guess that's the bottom line, is just get your vow all the way to the end. If you need to cut it short, then it also means, which is kind of interesting, because let's say you're fighting your quest is a hill giant on a hill. If you make it too short to get to the hill giant, let's say I just say, hey, you know what? I walk up the hill. Okay, that's a journey, but it's easy. It's troublesome. All right, it's just short. I get there. And the hill giant happens to be sitting on top of the hill. I challenge the hill giant to a duel of wits or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I make that, what's the formidable, and I win. And as part of this duel of wits, the hill giant has to vacate the premises, never to return. I'm done. But I've only gotten 4 on my progress dice. On the progress track. So if I just roll the progress track, I can't, there's no way I can't. I mean, I could make it, but chances are I'm not going to make the quest. But I've hill giants. I mean, even if you went the other way and say I went into combat and I killed the hill giant, then, and let's say I make that instead of formidable, I make it extreme. Well, that's still only 5. So if I'm playing solo and I'm structuring this adventure, I'm going to want to add more steps. And I guess you just have to hope ahead of time. I mean, either that or I have to go, oh, wait, there's more than one hill giant. People have just been talking about a hill giant, but it's not just one. There's 3, and there's another one over there. I guess you just got to kind of figure out. But it's interesting because, right, because you're going to have to structure it in a way that at least gives you the opportunity to max out your momentum. I don't know if there'll be advice on that or if it's just like, yeah, you'll figure it out kind of thing, which I did. In a minute, I was like, okay, maybe there isn't just one hill giant, but there's the threat behind the threat. And once I have to get rid of that threat behind the threat or that other threat, and then it's done. But it's definitely interesting because you could kind of, much like in there, hey, what makes a milestone kind of thing. But it also is, well, how many, you don't want to put the end of your quest at an early milestone. You want to have so many milestones to make it, okay, I can get 10 out of this, or at least have a chance at it. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, and then you can advance. All right, so then you have fate moves. So, okay, this is in solo and co-op play. The fate moves mediate the result of other moves or serve as inspirational prompts for your story. When you face the outcome of a move, want to know what happens next, or have questions about people. So is this the kind of oracle? No. Or maybe it is. I don't know. There are 3 key aspects of using fate moves. Instinct. If an answer to a question or the result of a situation is obvious, interesting, dramatic, make it happen. Randomness. You can roll on random tables to generate a result or answer a question. Inspiration. You can use creative prompts such as those included in the oracles chapter to guide your story. All right, we're not at oracles yet. Pay the price. When you suffer the outcome of a move, choose one. Make the most obvious negative outcome happen, or envision 2 negative outcomes, rate one as likely, and ask the oracle using the yes-no table. On a yes, make that outcome happen. Otherwise, make it the other. Or you can roll on this table. If you have difficulty interpreting the result to fit the current situation, roll again. So this is a D100. Excuse me. Okay, so 100 is roll twice more and both things happen. And then we have a friend, companion, or ally is put in harm's way. Or you are if you're alone. You have to act against your best intentions. You waste resources. There's a surprising complication. It's stressful. It's harmful. Causes delay or puts you at a disadvantage. A new danger or foe is revealed. The current situation worsens. Something of value is lost or destroyed. Your action has an unintended effect. You're separated from something or someone. Person or community you care about is exposed to danger. A person or community you trusted loses faith in you or acts against you. And then the other results are, hey, roll something and make it worse. Okay, so this is one of the most common moves in Ironsworn. Make this move when directed to by the outcome of another move, or when the current situation naturally leads to a cost through your choices or actions. First, choose an option as described in the move. You may determine the outcome yourself. Ask the oracle to decide between 2 options or roll on the table. In guided play, okay, that's your GM is going to do it. Next, envision the outcome. What happens? How does it impact the current situation and your character? Apply the outcome to the fiction of your scene before you determine any mechanical impact. Focusing on the narrative cost leads to deeper, more dramatic stories. Finally, apply any appropriate mechanical penalty. If you face a physical hardship or injury, endure harm and suffer some health. If you're disheartened or frightened, endure stress. If you lose equipment or exhaust resources, you suffer a minus in supply. If you waste precious moments and are put in an unfavorable position, you suffer some momentum. If an ally or companion is put in harm's way, apply the cost to them. And then, things can get worse. And then we have some guidelines for mechanical costs, but when in doubt, suffer -2 from the appropriate track. If you rolled a match on a move and the outcome of that move tells you to pay the price, you can consider rolling on the table instead of just choosing an outcome. This fulfills the promise of the match by introducing a result you might otherwise not have considered. Okay. Here we go. Ask the oracle. When you seek to resolve questions, discover details about the world, determine how other characters respond, or trigger encounters or events, you may 1. Draw a conclusion. Decide the answer based on the most interesting and obvious result. 2. Ask a yes or no question. Decide the odds of a yes and roll on the table below to check the answer. Or pick 2, envision 2 options, rate 1 as likely, and roll on the table below to see if it's true. If not, it is the other. Spark an idea, brainstorm, or use a random prompt. All right, and then you have basically it's odds, almost certain, likely, 50-50, unlikely, small chance. And then they tell you what you're rolling. Your D100 again. Okay, so that's just asking the Oracle. All right, so maybe I'll do the worlds on another stream. I kind of want to see, where are we? Oracles. I want to go to Oracles. So maybe if there's interest, we can go back and do the Ironlands. Okay, so this is Oracles. Seeking inspiration. Ironsworn and Oracle is anything which generates random results to help determine the outcome of a move, a detail in your world, an NPC outcome, or a narrative event. Okay, Ironsworn Oracles don't function as a GM simulator. Instead, they leverage the power of your creative interpretation. Ask your question, roll on a table, and consider the answer in the context of your current situation and story. What comes to mind first? Did you think of something which reinforces a dramatic narrative or takes things in an interesting and surprising direction? Does it feel right? If so, make it happen. If you follow your instincts while staying open to twists and turns, you'll find your game offering many of the same narrative rewards as if you were playing with a GM. In fact, you'll be surprised how often a seemingly random result seems to feed directly into your character's story and the world you've established through play. This is the power of creative interpretation at work. Okay, whoops. So we've got... Okay, let's see. How to use the oracles. Ask a question, choose the appropriate oracle, roll your oracle dice, check your answers against the table, consider the answer in the context of what's going on. If the answer is difficult to interpret, you can check up or down a row or reverse the digits. If you've got an answer, you're all set, and then you play to see what happens. If you're having trouble, you can roll again, try a different table, or just fall back to your instincts and decide what happens next. Okay, so we have a bunch of different oracles here. So we have actions, and we have some kind of action words, verbs: scheme, clash, weaken, destroy, avoid, reject, construct, locate, endure. Then we have themes, from risk, ability, price, to vengeance, opportunity, faction, to warning, relationship, and wealth. And we have regions. These are regions, I'm guessing, in the Iron Lands: barrier islands, ragged coast, deep wilds, flooded lands, havens, hinterlands, tempest hills, veiled mountains, shattered wastes, or somewhere else. Locations: hideouts, outposts, fields, marshes, rapids, passes, coast, hills, etc. Coastal waters locations: a fleet, a sargassum, a flotsam, a mystical site, a lair, a wreck, a harbor, a ship, a rocks, fjord, that kind of thing. All right, so then we get all these. Then we have some descriptors. We have settlement names if we need one: Highmount, Brackwater, Frostwood, Redcrest, Grimtree. Those are examples. Okay, yeah. What happens when you run out? That's not that many names. I'm surprised they didn't give more of I guess they're keeping in, but I probably would have just a name generator for that as opposed to an oracle. This way you could have Brackmount, Highwater, Frostmount, Redwater, Brackcrest, a man-made edifice. What is it? Why is it important? And we have some examples. More tables. Creatures. Why have the people of the settlement chosen this creature as their totem? I don't know why. And what happened here? A word in an old world language. What culture is represented by this word? What does it translate to? And we have some words. A season or environmental aspect, something else. We have some, here's this name generator. Okay, so I'm not sure. 1 to 15, okay. Hold on a minute. Settlement name. Oh, you're supposed to roll on here. Oh, okay, I totally missed that. But I still don't know what these examples are. So 1 to 15, it's a feature of the landscape. I still, I'm still not sure. Or it could be okay. All right, I think I get it. So I see. All right, so okay. I could use this. Maybe it's somewhere else. Maybe I skipped over the sentence. I get it now. All right, so you're rolling to see what the name's based on. If you roll 1 to 15, it's based on a feature of the landscape. And that's why you have wood, mount, water, fall, all these things. Right? These are all natural landscape features that the name of the place is from. Okay, if it's a 16 to 30, it's a man-made something or other. So maybe a bridge, maybe a particular home, a hall, like something like that, right? Or it could be named after a creature, or it could be named after a historical event, or a word in the old world language, or some kind of seasonal thing, or something else. Now I got it. And then we get some name generators for suffixes and prefixes. Though, I guess if you just want the name, it's a weird thing. I really like the idea of, hey, thinking through a little bit what these mean, what the settlement means. But then if you have the quick settlement name one, I think if I was in a hurry, which I probably would, I don't know, I probably would just use the quick settlement name. But I guess it's different circumstances, I guess, for each one. You got some troubles, character roles, character goals, some descriptors, some names, some elf names, other names. You have some combat actions. You have some mystic backlashes, some major plot twists. If you need to roll a random challenge rank, you've got it. More oracles, create your own oracles. All right, cool. Yeah, so this is really just the bones, obviously, of Ironsworn. I think as a system, it's fine. I mean, I haven't played it, obviously. I think it's definitely, like I said, I think like people are going to find, it's going to be interesting now with Daggerheart being out and big, and if this bundle of holding, I know you can get Ironsworn, the base rules for free, but just in terms of just getting some extra eyes on it, if some folks will pick it up. I'm curious how people see these two systems that kind of are competing in the same space, but maybe very different themes. And maybe that's enough. They seem to be pretty different in their tones, but it's maybe similar in their mechanics in some ways. It seems really cool. I like that you can kind of build your character however you want. It's got a little bit of that. I feel like 4th edition thing with the aspects reads to me a lot like the 4E like powers and abilities. It's not in terms of the like this is your encounter power or whatnot, but just the way you have these really clean, neat little powers. I like that. I'm looking for I'm really into some solo tools because I want to be doing some solo plays of my own system. So I've been looking to see what kind of oracular stuff folks use. So that's why I kind of was really interested in the solo aspects of this, because I'm wondering what can I adapt from something like this to use it with my game. So it's really interesting to get ideas there. But it seems like a really fun system. I will look at some of the other ones. I know at some point the Starforged, and maybe we'll get into some of the other details and maybe get into the Iron Lands, because I'm kind of curious what maybe tomorrow or maybe on the other channel we'll look at the what is it, which section is that, the Your World section? Is that it, where you're kind of building out? I am definitely interested in kind of building out the Ironlands, seeing how that's done. Croco says it's pretty represented in the solo spaces. Yes, well represented. Yes, I think a lot of people like it in the solo spaces, which is why as soon as this bundle of holding showed up, I was like, I think it's probably my time to get it, since I'm kind of interested in that angle too. And I think it's interesting also that it's really, and like to Croco's point said earlier, kind of a journaling aspect, because really it's not, the oracles are not there to make your GM decisions for you. They're to help shape it, but ultimately you're there to create a story. And if, depending on how you want to make your story and the stakes and all that stuff, you do that. You kind of do what fits it right for you. These are all tools to help you, but it's not to take the GMing role out of your hands and put it in a machine. It's, hey, we're going to help you, but ultimately, you're going to do this. And I think that's where I could see kind of the journaling game sort of thing, where you're kind of looking at it like, well, what's the best story I can make? I'm trying to make this kind of, narrative, which is definitely what they're trying to do right here. You are, it's not about you wandering the countryside. It's about you being somewhere or going somewhere, taking on a task, that task, resolving it, kind of that sort of thing. Croco says, could look at Scarlet Heroes for some old school compatible solo rules. I think I have looked at, I could look at it. I don't know if I ever looked at it on the channel. I think I bought it ages and ages and ages ago. I could, but this is cool. It's cool. I really enjoyed reading it, and it's giving me some interesting food for thought. It's the bundle of holding, I think, is running for the next month or 20 days or something. So you got a lot of time. I think it's $15 or something for the whole thing, which has Ironsworn, a couple of Ironsworn, Starforged, and then a couple of source books. I forget how much, and it's almost like 500 megs of download. I don't know how beefy these PDFs are, but you get a good amount of stuff with it. So if the system seems interesting, you should check it out. And then of course you can get on drive-through. And I think I think the bundle of holding links to drive-through also, because when I went to get the drive-through links, it said that I already owned it, and I hadn't bought it on drive-through, just through the bundle of holding, and it was already kind of marked out. So you get that kind of neat thing too. But you can download it straight from bundle of holding, which is what I did. All right, folks. Well, thanks for hanging out with me. Let me know if you want more of Ironsworn and whatnot, and I will aim to please. I probably do want to look at the Daggerheart, at least the SRD version of it, at least a few things in there. I did look at one of the early beta testing packets, or whatever they called it, versions of the rules. I'm not going to go through it exhaustively, but there were a couple things in there I thought was kind of neat, so maybe I'll look at that. I don't know if there's much in the Draw Steel. I looked at Draw Steel a bit. I think one of their first documents I looked at when it came out, I think when the Kickstarter launched or somewhere in there. And it just, the thing is for me in Draw Steel is I'm kind of interested in it. I'm following it. I'm reading the subreddit, and I'm kind of seeing what people are posting about it. But in terms of as a system, it just doesn't appeal that much to me. It's I'm not interested in going back to kind of the 4E style game. I just don't want to spend. I mean, this is going to be the thing, right? It's kind of funny. It's like the thing with Draw Steel is like the game where you can't miss. I mean, granted, other games have done that before, but whatever. People are like, oh, you can't miss. It's so great, but not like in D&D where you can miss and you're sitting there for 30 minutes. It's like, well, you may not miss in Draw Steel, but you're still waiting a good bit for your thing. And I just, even if it's amazing tactical combat, I just can't see wanting to do that for hours. I just want to get through more stuff, I think. I don't know. I just don't find that aspect as interesting to me. Maybe I just got my fill of it with 4th edition. I don't know. I am very curious though. And really the thing is, I think with Draw Steel is that it's going to be down the line when people start getting those mid to high levels, because 4th edition I thought played really fun when we were low levels and kind of just getting into it. And it felt like some of the weaknesses didn't pop out in terms of how drawn out combats can be until we got some levels in us. And as things just got more complex and we have more abilities and more stronger abilities, and we're fighting as enemies that have more and stronger abilities and all these interactions and doing all this stuff. And all, like, that's where I felt like it really kind of got to be a slog. Hopefully they fix that problem. But I'd play it if somebody offered to run it for me. I don't think I'm going to offer to run it for anybody. I'm curious to see how that goes. But anyway, I'd only mention this stuff because it's funny. I saw some people talking about why certain games are getting attention from YouTubers and others aren't. And just for me, Draw Steel right now just doesn't have anything that I'm super intrigued by mechanically that I want to check out. Maybe I'll read more about it, and it'll pique my interest. And there are a couple things in Daggerheart that did do that for me, though it doesn't mean that Daggerheart's a better system than Draw Steel. So, and just letting you know what's coming down the pike. Anyhow, done for now. Have a great rest of your day, night, or whenever you end up watching or listening to this. Game on, everybody. And I'll talk to you later. Bye now.